and we know that God causes everything to work together for good of those who love God. Sometimes we struggle with that. Sometimes I struggle with that. Sometimes that verse makes me cringe because I remember some things when I used to hear that verse that didn't ring true, and I didn't like it because I didn't see how anything good could come out of the situation I was in. And I think when we see that, a lot of us just think of how untrue it maybe is. I mean, we'll say that we believe it with our whole heart. It says, and we know that all things work together for good. It's hard. Does it really work? How about when you have that flat tire in the middle of a snowstorm along the highway? Does it feel like everything's working together for good? Or maybe the bank calls and says you're overdrawn, and you know that there's money in there. Or, maybe somebody has called you, one of your loved ones, and says they've got cancer and they don't have very long to live. Do we believe it then? Or maybe you got the call and you have a disease, or you have an incurable terminal cancer. Do you still believe that God works to everything together for good? Or maybe your teenage daughter comes home pregnant and tells you, and you're trying to think, what good's going to come out of that? But did you notice in there a couple of things that we might be missing? Look at those verses again, 28 to 30. It says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. For God knew his people in advance, and he chose them to become like his son, so that his son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And having chosen them, he called them to come to him. And having called them, he gave them right standing with himself. It says God is working those things for good. Doesn't say those things are going to come out good. God is working. He's the one doing the work. He's the one taking those things. God is doing the work. He upholds us. He keeps us in his care. But we have to remember it's God who's doing the thing in our lives.